My rugby career began on the park opposite my home at Watson's Bay when I was about 9 or 10. The sailors and the soldiers would come down and just kick a football from one end of the park to the other. And I can remember going over and having these balls come out of the sky and they'd let me catch them. And I always felt that I was going to be drilled through the ground as I caught the balls because they came from such a height. And I learned how to catch a football. I went off to Scots College. We had a super rugby team from the under-13As all the way through. My father wanted me to play for Sydney Uni because that's where he'd been. They put me in 3rd grade. I played a season in 3rd grade, but I had a great time because we never lost a game. When the grand final was about to come, someone got injured and I ended up playing the 1st grade grand final and scored a try under the posts from a set scrum, and from that day on my rugby career blossomed.
Rupert Rosenblum played for Australia in 3 tests across 1969 and 1970. He also played 256 first grade games and over 300 total grade games for Sydney University. Amazingly, both are still club records today, 40 years after he retired. He has also served as Vice President of the club from 1971 to 2011.
I've been a player and a coach. I coached Maccabi, I've coached Sydney University.
Anyway, after the first training session, Rupert came up to me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, mate, you're that rugby league player, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, ever thought of going around people?
When you watch them play or you talk to them, you can tell very easily if someone's listening to you.
And then after that, I sort of got the idea and we actually started scoring tries and winning games after that, which was great. He didn't just coach us as far as how to kick or pass, he just showed us how to do things on a rugby field and then work as a team, which was totally different to how we've been coached before.
As a man, you couldn't get a better bloke.
Always had a chat, always had a great story.
For Australia, having been overlooked on so many occasions. A lot of us were sitting in a room and we're all Sydney guys and every one of them jumped up and congratulated me. It was very moving, as you can see. Suddenly find myself going to South Africa. It was a real thrill.
I, together with my schoolmates, attended that game in 1969, September at Newlands Rugby Ground.
And we were playing at 5,500 feet with a leather ball. You could kick the ball a very, very long way. It would take off.
And he kicked the ball once about 75 metres.
It just kept going and going and going and going.
He said, I just stood there and just watched it go.
I thought, I wonder if it's ever going to come down. It just kept going.
The message was, anything's possible for a young Jewish rugby player.
The great thing about rugby, besides well, firstly, the companionship of 15 guys all wanting to do the same thing at the same time. But what's good about rugby is there's a place for the big fat bloke that can't run, the little thin bloke that can run, the tall bloke that jumps but doesn't run very well, or the bloke that kicks. You know, having played so much rugby where you were dependent on 14 others and they depended on you, with skiing it's just the freedom, just being able to zoom along, and the contrast between rugby and even tennis and skiing is remarkable. And Dad had founded the Maccabi Tennis Club in Wellington Street, Bondi. So on Sundays I'd go down and play tennis, and now I go to White City. And I've been in the final of the World Veterans Singles. Did extremely well, got to the final and lost the 3rd set 6-love. Every game was juice and I couldn't win one game. It was 3 sets.
Rupert's father, Meyer Rosenblum, who was also a Wallaby himself, was amongst the first ever group of inductees when the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame was first created in 1999.
I was lucky to be brought up with a man of huge intellect who just made life so easy.
It's quite amazing that Rupert Rosenblum has now joined his father as an inductee into the Maccabi Sports Hall of Fame.
That is one of the great sporting honours of my life. It's like being picked for the Wallabies. brings back memories of my dad and mum, and if they were here today, they'd be very proud. Ooh, it's moving. It's a really great honour, and I'm very moved.